on the other signings, I don't want to run out of time on this show because we've got the big Vardy conversation to have as well. But there was a post today from someone called Ben Mattison who says that he's a freelance analyst and scout, South American expert. He's worked for Team Talk and BT Between the Lines. I'm not saying I don't know who he is, and I don't mean it horribly, Ben. I just don't know who you are. He quote tweeted all the actions of Victor Gyokeres last night when they played, or the other night when they played Rio. Is it Rio Avenue? Or whatever they're called, right?
Rio Ave.
There we go. That's my pronunciation. Avenue. And this is what he wrote. Right? This is what he wrote. He said, again, another example of people not knowing what they're looking at. Heavy first touch, doesn't anticipate contact, and shields the ball well. I don't know what that kind of sounds like a positive than a negative. He says doesn't use his arms to hold off defenders, slow to turn, touches on transition, take him away from goal. These are all red flags. I'm seeing a lot of people start to say this now about Victor Gyokeres. I watched the footage and I do agree with him. There was a couple of heavy first touches. There's a couple of touches where he's running at goal that weren't great. There was a time where he could have squared the ball into the center, someone to tap in, just doesn't do it. The problem is for me, if you just go back and watch a bog standard game that R9 played in now, just for all the triggered people, I know R9 is better. But if you go into all the actions from a standard R9 game from the 90s, you would see some heavy first touches. You would see some times where maybe he could have held off a defender better. You'll see some times, even with his impeccable ability in dribbling, where the ball don't quite go where he wants it to go. Are we getting to a point, gents, where we are almost over-analyzing to a kind of pedantic level the way players play and perform? Or are there major red flags with Gyokeres and other players? I'm throwing it out there for the conversation debate.
We are getting to a point of ludicrousness.
What am I listening to there? He doesn't use his arms to shield the ball. Does he stop the defender getting the ball? Yes. Does he score lots of goals? Yes. You know what? I want him up front. Football is a simple game. You put the ball in one net, you stop it going in the other net. These people nowadays, these tacticos, they use fancy words. They went to uni and got an English degree and use fancy words which don't mean anything. Football has not changed much. The basics of the sport has not changed much from 30, 40 years ago. Victor Gyokeres scores a hell of a lot of goals. Victor Gyokeres, when you put him in front of goal, can pick out the bottom corners of the net. He can pick out the top corners of the net. He can hold off a man and he can play a pass. He's the kind of striker who 15 years ago, when you listen to Chelsea and United and Arsenal look for the striker, they're going, oh, you've got to be all over him. He's the next big thing. But now we're going, oh, look at his body mechanics. He runs weird. He does this weird. Does he score lots of goals? Yes. Would anyone, genuine question again, because he'd be signing for your club, would you genuinely care if Victor Gyokeres ran weird and shielded people using his legs rather than his arms if he scored 35 league goals a season?
No, I wouldn't give a shit.
So what are we doing?
I think at this point, what they're doing is they're trying to have a conversation about his weaknesses and his flaws. And if they're saying we're not going to go get Victor Gyokeres, who's their alternative? Because I'm looking around, I don't see an alternative to Victor Gyokeres that's, one, scored as many goals as he's done, two, has proven it in the Champions League with playing well against some of the teams like Man City in the Champions League, doing what he's done in his league, winning the league, also doing it in the Championship. He's still, 25, 26 years old. He's of a good age. And let's be honest, if Mikel Moreno can do what he's doing right now at Arsenal, and Kai Havertz getting a tune out of him last season in the title challenge, Victor Gyokeres is going to be an improvement on both of those guys with his finishing ability. He's a natural striker. He's 6 foot plus and has the pace to also run on the counter. Like, why? Why do people always have to find some negative out of absolutely nothing?
It's because he's signing for Arsenal. That's
literally it. There's Arsenal fans out here who would rather go and get Sesko and another project player, and it just doesn't make sense to me. We need to win now. Stop going for project players in every key position and say to yourself, finally, just go and get that player who scored 40 plus goals in 2 seasons.
If your club end up buying Sesko this summer, give me the league title next season. If your club buys Sesko next season, you're not doing anything.
If he scores 40 goals, we're talking about if he can hold someone off.
I don't want Sesko. So I generally do agree with you. I don't want Sesko, but I'm not saying the striker alone is the main thing. We still also need to go get a left winger also.
If Arsenal bring in Gyokeres and he goes and scores 25, 30 league goals, and people are criticising him because he runs weird and he can't hold the ball. I mean,
Henry, he holds the ball up in the wrong
No,
channel.
but we did this with Harry. We did this with Haaland, and maybe I'm part of the problem. We look at players and we want them to be the complete piece to the puzzle.
Chris Wood's just scored 19 league goals this season for Forest. I don't think any Forest fan cares because he can't sprint with the ball properly. He's just scored 19 league goals.
No, but look at this. There's people who say, I say this too, Isak is a better all-around striker than Haaland. Haaland's still the better player, though.
Exactly, but who scored 50 goals in his first season and won the treble?
Some people prefer Isak.
This is on the thread after this guy wrote it. This is someone who shared a TikTok they put out about him. Let's take a little listen to this.
A big club gets Gyokeres this summer is getting scammed. I'm telling you now. Like, let me be clear. Gyokeres is a good striker. He's very, very strong when there's space around him. And like, if you give him space, he's lethal. He's powerful. He's strong in the air. He's a good finisher as well. Like,
sounds good so far.
Like, if you leave space in behind your back line with Gyokeres, you're going to be in big trouble. Big trouble. However, the majority of big clubs, week in, week out, they play against low blocks. Like, if you think about every league game for Man City, pretty much, especially Man City in their peak, what do teams do? And those are often the games that can be the difference between coming second and winning a title, you know, going away to, let's say, Everton, Goodison Park, and winning 1-0 rather than drawing 0-0. That's like a big 2 points gained. And what Gyokeres struggles with is when he doesn't have space to manipulate the ball into his stride and get his shots off, he can't do it. Like, I'd say he's quite clunky in terms of his ball manipulation. His ability to create separation is a big issue. And like, you could be as powerful as you want in football, but if you can't create separation, then it's not useful. You can't maximize it.
So he goes on to say a little bit more. I mean, just for full disclosure, he's a Spurs fan. This guy, he's a Spurs fan. Just want to put that out there. He's a Spurs fan. But look, I mean, separation. One of the best goals I see him score this season. I mean, one of the best goals I see him score this season was where he created separation in the Champions League, and he just created half a yard, and he wellied it into the top corner from such an acute. I've seen him score so many goals that I would consider to be self-made. I don't know.
Yeah, but he manipulates the space, Terry. Like, I don't know how many times that guy scratched his ear.
I'll just say this: it's on
That's
the
the
manager.
English classes we were talking about.
It's on the manager. It's on the manager to get the player in the right areas of the pitch and get the team to playing to their strengths. I think if we were to have Victor Gyokeres this season, he would be bagging 30+ goals for Arsenal easily, because I've seen the likes of Trossard, I've seen the likes of Mikel Moreno, and I've seen the likes of Kai Havertz in situations where Gyokeres buries those chances. So I don't know what he's talking about.
This is the thing as well, right? I can't play the footage, I'll get a copyright strike. But this is the random bit I clicked on, watching his actions from last. I mean, they're sitting back against Sporting Lisbon. That's pretty low to me, right? Most teams don't sit inside their own box. Like, most Premier League teams will sit in. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, if we just fast forward through this and let's see it, we can't play it. I mean, look, quite a lot of players in the box.
Some separation there.
Quite a lot of players in the box there. I don't know what part of the game that is, to be fair. I don't know what way they're going. I mean, that's on a counter-attack as an example. That's where he should square it, to be fair. He does make a mistake there. There's a lot of people back there. Let's go near the beginning. Oh, a lot of people in the box. Like, this idea, listen, I understand that some nations play with higher lines more regularly, but this idea that other nations play football and everybody just stands on the halfway line and allows that's just such an over-exaggeration. It's unbelievable.
Do you know what it is with strikers as well? Do you know what it is with strikers? People sit there and go, he needs space to score. No, do you know what it is? When teams play against a low block, don't create the same chances. I'm sure if you put Gyokeres in a situation 12 yards out from goal, whether it's on a counter-attack or against a low block, he scores. The problem isn't, the striker doesn't create enough separation or have the body mechanics to create space to get the angle to put the ball in the back of the net. No. Kick the ball in the spot for the striker to shoot, and he'll score.
In that game, Terry?
Where was this guy when Gonzalo Ramos was
they won 3-0?
Oh, yeah. So who cares about body mechanics?
I wonder where was this guy speaking about, like, when other people were signing players from the Portuguese
He's
league?
still trying to scratch his ear and
I
hair.
heard Bruno was gonna flop when he joined Man United, and that was.
I was told Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez is great at separation.
And just to bring this to life, this was Crystal Palace. This is Crystal Palace, who were considered to play quite a low block and be quite defensive. This was where their defensive line was at the beginning of Arsenal's move for their second goal last night. If we fast forward it a few frames, right, that's where they were as he entered the box. How is that any different to where the team last night were playing? It's by, again, people just chat shit. They use buzzwords that make them sound smart and clever. But most teams sit where Palace were. That's where a lot of like teams that sit low. Yes, there's going to be some teams that will put every fucker behind the ball for 90 minutes and it's hard to break them down. But the idea that Gyokeres only scores goals when the team's on the halfway line and the ball's knocked over the top like it's Sunday League and you stick the fastest player as a striker, it's such shit.
If a team you're playing against plays through the lines, guess what? You're going to drop back because you're not going to stand there on the edge of the halfway line going, oh, you know what? Let's wait for them to play through the line.
Guys, I really do think people underestimate Arteta as a manager. He's going to find a way to get the best out of a player like Gyokeres.
Yeah. He doesn't need to find a way, Gal. You just need to put the striker in your team and your players will create. People are creating this idea that you need to adapt your entire system to fit a striker who gets 40 goals. Put the striker in the team and your players will play.
For God's sakes, we're about to potentially go to a final or semi. We're currently in the semifinal of Champions League and could go.
Say that. I'd say that. Yeah.
With friggin' Moreno. So imagine when we get Gyokeres.
He doesn't get as many goals as what he's getting in Portugal, though. Then when he comes to
he doesn't need to though. He doesn't need to get 43 goals in 50 games. For us
shit my pants. You know what's also on the thread? Oh no, oh god.
What?
I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed. I was almost like one of the founding fathers of football YouTube content and content out there. Just disappointed. Quite a few of his goals are penalties. Oh, penalties. Penalties. Let's get the wank sock out. Penalties.
So that's Bayern Munich when Kane's about to...
Honestly, please, Elon Musk, if you see this clip, I know you're all for free speech, but please, sir, I will buy a brand new Tesla if I have to. Can you ban people for life from Twitter that say, yeah, but what about penalties? They're goals. They're real goals. They're actual goals. Imagine he wasn't good at taking penalties. It's, oh, my days.
Also, let's be very honest. At Arsenal, who's this competition for penalties? Saka, who isn't necessarily, who doesn't take every penalty. The guard who's missed a couple. If Gyokeres joins, he's got a good chance of taking these pens anyway. So the stats count in his favour because, oh, my God, he's a good penalty taker as well. People try and make mountains out of molehills. Football's a simple game.
It's almost harder to score a penalty than it is to score some opportunities as well sometimes. Yeah. There's a lot more pressure on penalties in certain moments in a game than there is in, certain opportunities when you're 1v1 with the keeper.
Some great strikers couldn't take pens. Fernando Torres
a great example. Look at the penalty Bruno scored the other night. The goalie went the right way. That was one of the most perfect penalties you can ever see because if he hadn't got it right in the corner with that pace, he misses. If he doesn't score that penalty, we don't come back. When you scoring penalties is so massive and so important, and it's crazy to me that it gets 2025. Being good at crossing the ball, being good at corners, being good at counter-attacking, goalies being good at. Oh yeah, but you know what I mean. It ain't fair that you won today. Your goalie pulled off 4 or 5 brilliant saves. You hear this analysis now. It is absolutely radio rental. It really, really is. Viewers, give us your thoughts. Give us your opinion.